Hey, Genesis.
Hey, Sandro.
Are you ready to learn about the administrator roles in Scudero?
Yes, let's do
Let's
it.
go. Awesome. So here's the main page of Scudero. And the first thing that I would like to tell you guys is that where it says the main news or the latest release from Scudero, you're going to be able to see it there. At any point in time, every time we do a release or some new features, that's where you're going to be able to see any new upcoming events or features. To the right, you're going to be able to see the picture of your account manager and then their telephone number and their email. At any point in time, you guys have any questions regarding the system, regarding your account, regarding payments, please do not hesitate to contact them. They will be more than happy to assist you. Now let's go to our Academy section on the corner where Genesis points, where it says Academy. If you click on it, you're gonna have great documentations which will include process flows and manual information for the whole operation software of Scudero. In this case, you have process flows for a step-by-step on how to do things and go from there. Also, we have a great manual for the actual pilot crew app in Scudero, where you're gonna be able to step-by-step know how to download it, know how to add the permissions and who's gonna be able to use it or not. So it's great information. If Genesis keeps scrolling down, we have an integration section where we can discuss it in later moments, where we're gonna talk about our integrations, how we integrate, and any frequently asked questions that the customer may have. So it's a great resource for self-learning. I 100% recommend it, and it's always there for your team to be able to go and review. Awesome, Genesis. You can take over now.
Awesome. So pretty much what we're going to do now is go to our users overview page. That way we can show you guys how to go ahead and create a new user and also how to grant them permissions. So let's go ahead and click on people. And then from there we go to users. And this is our user overview page. Now to create a new user, you just click on create new. And from here, you just need to add in the basic information. One key highlight that you should always make sure you do is to add a company role to the user. That way we know on our end what emails to send out to each user, whether it be a new feature for the ops team or even the charter team and whatnot. We'll know which emails to send to them. So you can go ahead and add the contact information. Make sure to access first Scudero for the user and then click save. So let me just go back to the user page that I already have created. So I'm going to go ahead and edit and access here. And as you can see, I added all the basic information, contact information. I made sure to give permissions for Scudero and also added the date and time. This is important to make sure that you do add the time zone to your new user that you created. Next thing is to grant permissions to the user. From here, you can see that this user is an admin user, so they have all of the access to all of the features in Scudero. And you can also limit these from the permissions page, okay? Now, let's go ahead and head over to the company tabs part. And this is where we're gonna go ahead and start setting up your account in Scudero. So let's go to company settings. And Sandra will take the lead on here. Go for it.
Awesome.
Sandra.
Thank you, Genesis. The general settings are the main settings in your actual company that you're going to have for your whole operations, right? In this case, in the first example, we're going to have the currency. You can actually choose a specific currency that you're going to work on. If you keep scrolling down, Genesis, to customers, you're going to have the option to use a custom field name. So it's completely customizable and you can actually type it and do it per your request. Always don't forget to select save. In addition to that, also, let's say that you have an email, you want to receive an email notification before a document expires. It's a great idea to enable that checkbox and then select the specific email, which that user will receive an email at any point on time.
Okay, so now let's go over to the task group. Now, what we have is a great feature in Scudero where you're able to add task groups for quotes and trips. And on these task groups, you can go ahead and assign it to different teams in your operations, whether it be for charter sales, finance, ops teams, and even if you have an FBO for an FBO team. So if you go ahead and click on group, and I'll just do one real quick. just going to add a name for it. You can pick when you want it to preload. It can be for quote or trip or none. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it's for trip, click save. And now from here, I'm able to click on it and add a new task. Now let's go ahead and add a new task. And what I'll do is confirm tax payment. Now we do have an extra layer where you can say, hey, this task is flight restrictive, which means that the ops team won't be able to release a trip unless it's completed. But I'm going to go ahead and skip that because this is just for charter sales. So I'll go ahead and click save. And there we go. Now, as you see, it's part of the task group for the charter sales. We have that task to confirm passenger payment. You can always go back and remove the task or edit it however you like when you want it to appear. Now, we also have it to where you can just add it as ad hoc, as just a simple task that you want it to always be done. So you would just click on task and create it from there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and head over to our trips tab. And what we have here under trips is what you're going to find everything related to adding new trip statuses options. As you can see here, we have some for default, and you're also able to create new statuses for trips. A lot of our members, what they do is they add this as part of their workflow to know what's the trip status, whether it be like, hey, this is on hold, it's booked, pending owner approval, pending payment, or pending crew assignment. So you can use it however you like. And the cool thing about it is you can also add a color to it. So let's go ahead and say that for booked, I want to do green. Now this will also reflect on the calendar once the trip is scheduled. It'll show over if it's a quote under quotes and requests as green. And if it's a scheduled trip, it's going to be under the scheduled trips overview. We also have the ability for our members to go ahead and assign a custom trip and quote number. So you can go ahead and add that in if that is needed. We do have a integration with TSA. If you guys have the integration turned on and you let your account manager know, you can just ping us so we can walk you through on how to use TSA. And you can also find great articles about it on our Academy section. And another thing to note is for default notes. You can add default notes for passenger trip sheet, pilot trip sheet, quote email message, so that way you don't have to always manually input a quote message. Quote PDF message, whether it be thank you for flying with Scuderow Airlines or whatnot, and you want it to always show on that quote PDF, you can add it from here. And we also have it for handling arrival notes and so on. So please take your time to take a look at this. Add default notes as needed just to avoid the manual input. Once you're done, remember to click save. Now let's head over to the invoice and expense tab. Here we have our invoicing configuration. If there is a, let's say, next invoice number that your finance team has that they're using for other systems, you can go ahead and update it here. So it doesn't have to start on one. You can make a customized number and also add a default invoice note. I'm not going to go into the expense configuration. We'll go ahead and cover that in another section of the training. But for the payment type options here, your finance team or even your charter sales team can go in and add new payment types. So we have default ones, as you can see here, but we know that our members do have different payment types. So you can just go ahead and add it from here as well.
Something to add, Genesis, there is that now that we have that pilot app expense reporting, it's all going to come together. So when you actually train your finance team and expense, you're going to show them how to map them up and how to have them configured. And then when I train the pilots, I'll show them how to do the expense reporting on the app. So everything's going to connect on one page.
Yes, correct. Mm-hmm. Now, here we're on the document side, and I want you guys to keep in mind that here is where you add your C's and T's. You can add your wiring instructions. You can also add credit card authorization forms. And we also have members who use this section to add documents for stock that's on board for their trips. And also, if there's any floor plan pictures or even, let's say, a flyer of pictures that you want to always be attached to quotes or invoices, you can add it from here. So pretty much what you do is you click on either upload PDF document or add text document. And I'll go ahead and click on upload PDF document. you add in that reference name. Let's say, like I said, your CNTs. You can say when you want it to be apprehended by default to, whether it's quotes and invoices. If there's a specific report, you can choose that as well from here. If you want to add a header, you can add on the first page, pages, or no pages. That's up to you. And then you can go ahead and add that file. Once you've added it, just click save. So like I said before, just keep in mind, make sure that you go ahead and apprehend it to default quotes or invoices. So that way it just immediately appears when you're sending a quote or an invoice. Okay, awesome. So
Genesis, while we keep going, I just want to remind our customers to write notes and write any type of questions they have for then our 45-minute Q&A when they finish watching all our onboarding process. So keep doing in the notes, keep writing the questions, and we'll be more than happy to assist you.
Yes. And just so you know, we will have our Q&A at the end of your onboarding session. So that's why it's really important for you to go ahead and take note of any questions that you have. Now, let me go ahead and dive into pricing. And here on pricing, it's also available for anyone who has the chart of sales and scheduling permission. However, we do know that admins do like to be on top of the pricing line items. So from here, you're able to go ahead and edit the ones that we have already as default, or even deactivate it. So you can just go in. Let's go ahead and click, for example, on revenue flight fee. You can edit it. If you want to make a fixed company rate, you can do it from here and then click save. If you need to create a new line item because it's not here, you can just click on create new. And you'll see that we have a lot of options for rate types. So whether it be for crew duty, distance, excessive positioning, flight time, or whatnot, we do have that option here as well. And now what we have left is for training and currency, and Sandra will take over from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Genesis. So the training and currency, we're going to mostly focus on it when we talk to the operations team. There's an example with the chief pilot and DO. I'll explain them specifically how to create a new custom training, how to create a new custom currency. But it's good to know and to be able to see where you can edit or change it, right? So the first thing that we're going to do, and you're going to see in your brand new company, if your account manager has not done it yet, is you will be able to select the medical checkbox, right? That medical checkbox, it's going to allow you to turn on the FA requirements for a specific pilot for the FA medical. In this case, a first class, second medical, depending on how the FAA does it. Also, we're going to click on load training defaults, because if you're a 135 operation, we have already a certain set of 135 regulations, which you can actually see in Academy before adding them, and it will take you to the actual regulations so that you can read them. But most companies do the same, so we added a default set. Now, in any point in time you want to create a new one, you can just select create new, and then you can follow the process. So from there, you can actually select the name, if it's flight restrictive or not, the position, the regulation, then who is required for, and then the interval type, the frequency, and all that. So it's completely customizable. Any training event that you do, it's completely customizable. And the last thing is that you're required, if you want, you can require them to add a PDF. So it won't save until you actually upload a PDF. This is a good way of keeping track of documentation, because on Scadero, we don't delete any information, right? So anything would be stored in the database, and you would have a history with all the information to show. Now, if we go to the currency section, it's the same way. The way our currency works for our pilots is if they do the flight logging correctly from the application, it transfers into our flight logs. And then if they did a correct landing, if they did a takeoff and stuff like that, it's gonna automatically calculate. Specifically the same for the actual hour. Now, what you do is we're gonna select the training currency defaults, and we'll put FAA 135. And what this is going to calculate more is the hours and also the takeoffs and landings for the PIC. The same way you can create new, you can select create new. And then from there, you can actually choose the name, choose if the currency is flight restrictive or not, the position, the regulation, what aircraft type, then if it's night or not, and then the flight activity, right? We have an abundance of information such as block time, PIC time, a lot of information that I will cover step by step once we do the operations training. Awesome, Genesis. So now let's go to our calendar to show them how we can customize it and how we can actually how they have the ability to do that. I know you're gonna go into more details with the charter sales people at some point, but the admin can also give access and deny access to some of the calendars, right? So here is your main calendar where you're gonna be able to add the basic information. You're gonna be able to name your calendar. So you can put calendar for company calendar, right, as an example. And then from there, you can actually select the visibility, sorry, who would be the one who will watch that calendar. So if it's only for you, you could do it just for a group of 3 people, and we can create as many calendars as you want. So there's no limit on a calendar for Scudero. Then you can also copy the same calendar and create a new one. That's an option that we have. And then the trip layout, it's just completely customizable where you can edit and choose what you want to see, and then choose the different options, right, for the calendar. Genesis will probably go more in detail once they talk with the charter sales team and that. But as an admin, you need to know that you can actually give this. You can give as many calendars as you want. You can restrict it for users and all that stuff. Also, you can also auto show new one that then all new aircraft will show on the top of the peoples at the bottom. And then you can also decide what you want to show and what you don't want to show on that calendar. So the big highlight of the Scudero calendar currently right now is that we can customize it as much as you want. The great thing is that we have released a new crew calendar for our pilots that we'll talk on the operation side. So it's a nice way of separating what the charter sales need for what aircraft is going, and also on the other hand, to be able as DO or chief pilot to be able to assign events and make sure that your pilots are keeping track with legalities, with duty, and all that good stuff. So Genesis, do you have any other things that you would like to add?
I just like to add for our admin users to go ahead and play with the different calendar options that we have. Right now, the default will stay on main, but you can go ahead and click to see it in mini, month view, and whatnot. And also, if you want to make a calendar just to show only, let's say, your sales rep, one for just your crew and one for just your aircraft, you're able to do that from here as well.
Awesome. So now remember that you have actually concluded the administrator training in Scudero. We're going to cover more in-depth areas once we actually meet with the specific teams. We'll go more in-depth. It's just an overview for you as an admin to be able to know what's going on, how to give access, how to restrict permissions, how to create a new user. And then from there, we're going to be going more focused on the other stuff. So don't forget to write your questions, gather your teams, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much, Genesis.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for joining. Talk to you soon.
Don't forget to write your questions.